What up, everybody? Welcome to the IAG Thursday Thing, this thing that we do every Thursday. Even when we're an hour late, we're still here. It's been crazy this week. The IAG tax time sale is going nuts. If you guys have not seen Foster doing a rap in a Uncle Sam costume, you haven't lived. I recommend, I know we've got a lot of ads out there, but if you haven't seen that, you got to see it. It is absolutely hilarious. Somebody needs to pop that in the chat because it is funny. Foster killed it. But it's been pretty crazy. I was actually really surprised, just some insider info. The sale actually started out kind of slow. And I think a lot of people were like, okay, what are we trying to do? We are having a sale, but they knew it was to the end of the week. And then today it went crazy. So that's why we had to kick it an hour, because there was just no way I was getting away from the phone. But it's, the tax sale is going nuts. So if you guys were thinking about buying an engine, a long block, a oil pan, anything that's an IAG product, I can't stress it enough. Now's the time. Other than that, we're joined today, usual partner in crime, Warranty. Warranty, what's up, buddy?
Dewey, I have no update. I've been working. I've been sleeping. I've been working. I looked at the clock. It was 4:00 Central, and I stopped doing what I was doing just so I could do this podcast. So you're welcome.
I'm proud of you, bud. And then also joined by executive producer Jordan, who I think is just now getting over his hangover. Jordan, how you doing, bud?
No, not a hangover, just weather fucking with my head.
Yeah,
but
whatever, dude.
I did come off a cruise that we were drinking like the entire week.
So he's just now getting off his hangover from his cruise.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then
dude, getting off the ship has been a clusterfuck though.
Yeah, I bet you're still not even remotely close to like mentally
dude,
in this time
no, I'm
zone.
not mentally prepared to even start work this week. It's been terrible. Yeah.
Sorry, man.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. Need a vacation from your vacation.
Yeah. And then Randy put together the thumbnail this week, which I thought was kind of hilarious. Him and I did some random AI shenanigans to come up with topic salad. So, yep, that's the name of the show this week is Topic Salad. And the reason it's that is we've had a bunch of smaller topics that we've wanted to go over, but they really aren't enough for a full show. So we figured we'd pile them into one show, have conversations about it, and then kind of see where it goes. But yeah, we got some fun stuff to talk about in here. It really wouldn't take up we couldn't stop everything and have a full conversation, a full show about this. I want to make sure you get your money's worth. So we've got basically 6 things to talk about, and I don't know, should be fun. We're gonna get right to it though. So first things first, it is build season. Okay, I feel like I have to have this conversation every year. It's build season. You may or may not know what you're looking for. Okay. And look, I'm a deal hunter like everybody else. Okay. So I understand the problem here, but hear me out. So you call up to whatever place I'm not saying this is an IAG specific thing, a Subaru specific thing, whatever, but it is kind of an automotive aftermarket specific thing because we're all kind of set up the same. Okay. So you call up whatever random shop you're going to have a conversation with, or whatever random parts site or whatever but you need to talk to somebody, or you email them, or you chat them, or whatever. And you're like, hey, I'm looking to do this. Okay. What parts would I need to do this? Yada, yada, yada. And this person takes the time out of their day for whatever they're doing, and they put together, a whole list of stuff, things you need. They explain how an internal combustion engine works. They link you to all sorts of great resources. They either help you find a shop, or, explain a bunch of things on a technical side that you need to understand to make sure you know what you're getting into. They make sure they're getting the parts right for you. They lay this all out. They try to save you every damn penny they can on their end. You know, they shoot it over to you. And, you know, usually most of the time what happens in situations like this is it comes out to a fairly significant sum of money. And I get it. You can't make decisions like that right there. I don't have $10,000 just laying around. Most people don't. That's okay. And I'm pretty sure the person on the other side of the phone understands that too. Okay. But what sucks is 3 or 4 months later, said person hits you back up and goes, hey, you know, you helped me a whole ton when I was figuring this out, and you gave me all this information, you know, and it was great. I went over to XYZ website. They had some of that stuff like $20 cheaper, so I just got it all there. But hey, what do you think about said turbo? If you want to kick somebody in the nuts harder, I don't think you can. Again, I 100% understand. You are trying to... Money isn't easy to come across. You know, the economy's doing some weird stuff out there right now. We all wish we made a little more cash. I'm Dutch, okay? I get it. You're going to want to save as much money as you can. And if you find deals in other places, because now you know what to look for, so you start researching around and whatever, and maybe you find something for a little cheaper someplace else. You know, give the person who originally gave you the quote the opportunity to match that price. I cannot stress that enough. Give them the opportunity. See if they can. You know, that, or if we're talking like $5, who cares? You got to understand the vast majority of the people who are doing this, they're enthusiasts, okay? The majority of us, because that's what I do is sales mostly. The majority of us are in this because we love it, not because we're making heaps of money, okay? So what little money we do make is what keeps us alive. In my situation, whatever money I make outside of my normal pay goes straight into Boogie, okay? It goes straight into the race program. This is how I get to race. And if we're talking like a $5 difference and I lose a $10,000 sale, and I see this all the time, all across, all sorts of people this stuff happens to. You know, you give that person the opportunity to price match. I personally, on my end, if I have somebody come to me and they're like, hey, I got all these prices from such and such, and I was looking to see if, you know, you could do better on that. I used to have this at TH Motorsports all the time. I absolutely refuse to take that. I would send them back to the shop, or whatever I had to do in some situations. I remember one that was really egregious that I turned around and actually quoted them higher to send them back. But we were all kind of in an agreement to, at least in that local area, to make sure we quoted at the same price. And you know, if it is awful when you spend all this time, go through all this explanation, and then eBay gets the sale. You know, that's not fair to the person who just put all that effort into educating you to getting you to where you were at. And I'm telling you, none of these people who are in this are in it for the money. Okay. The money isn't that good. I can tell you right now, the automotive aftermarket is not where you go to make money at all. Do them a favor. Just, I can't stress it enough. The person you are talking to, they're taking time out of their day. Have that conversation with them. Give them the opportunity. Most of the time, they'll be able to price match or help you out or whatever. You know, work with them and they'll figure it out. If for whatever damn reason you decide to go some other way, at least do them a damn favor and go buy a damn t-shirt or something. Like, help these people out. especially your local shops, your brick and mortar shops. You know, it's hard to keep a brick and mortar shop the lights on these days. It's rough, okay, especially when it comes to part sales. You know, keeping those places open it's so key to our community. You have no idea. Every time one shuts, we lose a piece of us. And even if it costs a little bit more to go through the brick and mortar, or you know, one of the core community like core members or businesses within the community, you know, IAG, Cobb, you know, things of that nature, you're better off doing that to support the community. Okay. That's where I sit. But it's that time of year, everybody's trying to build stuff, and you know, you got a budget. I get it. And most of the time your parts people would be more than happy to help you out. You're better off asking if they can match a price versus backstabbing them, because they're never going to help you the same way again. I can absolutely promise you that. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents. Yeah, it's a little bit of a bitch, but it's from the heart, from your parts person, your local shop, your build advisor, whatever you want to call them. You know, these people are trying to help you. Okay. So that's where we're at. That's kind of my rant on that topic. I don't know if you guys got anything to add. That's kind of a me thing.
I've got a couple points. First of all, I agree with everything you're saying. And I don't work in the auto industry. I'm just an enthusiast that has a lot of interesting friends. So, first of all, it's a small world. Don't burn bridges. There is only one Dewey. There are not that many excellent shops in the country either. So if Dewey's saying, look, give your sales guys some love, he means it. He knows who you are. Like when you come back and say, hey, I bought this somewhere else, like he knows who you are. He's got your quote in the system. So, and honestly, this applies to shops as much as it does to just consumers. There are shops that will sell small parts to their competitors until that bridge gets burned. So Don't burn bridges. And for those creative folks out there thinking that, you know, Dewey could charge for the quotes, that doesn't work. Certainly not at the Subaru level anyway.
No.
So
I mean, it's
consumers,
not like race car consulting. Like it's just,
right.
Yeah.
It's the consumer's responsibility to keep the good guys in business. So I've got other ideas about, you know, the types of people that Dewey has a hard time with. But realistically, first of all, let me say it this way. Observing shops has been really, really eye-opening because I'm on the outside looking in. So I just get to see it how it is. I've seen salesmen not want to sell to people because they're just absolute jerks. And that's wild because that's somebody's livelihood that they're saying, yeah, this ain't worth it. So don't be that guy.
So like, and we all talk. Okay. So like in the Discord chat right now, we have Mick from Cosmic and Mary Fields and myself. And I guarantee we could probably talk about 5 customers that we all know between each other that all 3 of us know. And we're in, like, they're both in Texas, and I live in Tennessee, worked out of Chicago, and IAG's in Maryland. Okay, we're not in the same parts of the world at all. And I guarantee we could talk there. We would know these people. We all talk, you know? So, like, if you burn one bridge, you also lit the other bridges on fire. You know, almost all of us are friends. This community is way too small. So if you're trying to bounce between shops and websites and different salespeople and whatever, you know, whether you're talking to me or Dane at Import Image or Mary or, you know, Nick at Subi Mods, like if you're trying to play us off each other, it's never gonna end well for you. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's you're just going to put the scarlet letter on yourself. Don't do it.
Yeah. The one I think that gets me the most is asking for a hookup price for no reason. Long story short, tuning a car is a luxury. This is not buying groceries. So sorry, man.
The sob story for I want to make, you know, for your 600 horsepower Subaru, the sob story never goes over well either. You've got a better chance of just being straight up. This is my budget I'm trying to make it in versus giving some sort of god awful sob story. And if it's not realistic, if the person is like on the other side of the line going, "Hey man, I don't think that's right," they're saying it for a good reason.
Yeah, there's quite a few people with bad ideas. Not like bad ideas that I'll sell you a $100,000 build, but bad ideas like you will blow up your car immediately, and then you're going to be sad, and Dewey's going to be sad because he can't sell you any more parts. And those people often don't listen to advice. So,
dude, I hate nothing more than somebody who doesn't take good advice and then has to do a build twice. And then the second time they do a build, they didn't listen the first time. Now they didn't get what they want. Now they have to completely rethink their entire vision. That sucks.
Yeah. The more time the car spends blown up, the sadder everybody is. And
nobody's happy with that. Shops, parts sellers. No, I'm telling you, nobody who sells you an engine or parts or tunes or, turbochargers or anything, nobody wants to hear that your car blew up. Nobody's sitting there going, "Sweet, I can sell them another engine." Nobody's happy about it. Okay. We want you to have a good end result, and you bring us more customers because of your good end result. We want the good end result. Yep. And we want you to just be happy as shit with what you have, so more people want to do it. I don't want to keep hitting the same person over and over. I would much rather get new people who are like, "This seems awesome, I want to do this too." So, yeah.
Yep, totally agree. No notes.
All right. Well, that's yeah, I'm so happy we talked about that because today was rough, man. I'm not going to lie.
I'm sorry.
I
get to see you when you're off the clock, and it's pretty rough.
It was bad today. I feel really bad for Alessandra, our girl up in the front. She could really tell from the other side of the phone that I was having a rough one. So yeah, it's make it cosmic. Everybody's got stories like this. A customer that turned into a friend of mine, this is Mick saying this, didn't listen to me on how to build his car. Eventually he did and was happier with the final product, just spent way more money to get my suggestions, which, if they just listen in the first place, which most of these people, this is what we do for a living. So we've seen it a million different ways, and we've seen it go wrong a million different ways. If these people in the industry are saying, "Hey man, this is what you need to do to get this done," we're saying it for a reason. And more than likely, you're going to spend that money anyway. And if you don't do it the first time, you're just going to do it twice.
Yep. Totally agree. Seen it multiple times.
You even did it.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
am I
true.
wrong?
So for those of you listening at home, so there were times where I would get advice from Dewey, and I'd get advice from somebody else who also seemed very trustworthy. And I would go with the other person's advice and then get burned. And this is after being good friends with Dewey for a number of years. For some reason, I'd always give somebody else the benefit of the doubt. Well, I don't do that anymore. If Dewey says it, I'm doing it because I've been burned more than once.
Repeatedly. And I'm like, I fucking told you.
Oh, it's so bad, man. Like, in hindsight, what was I thinking?
I don't know. You think about it now and you're like, I don't even know what world I was on. I know what you were thinking, and I know where the tainted problems were coming from, and I that's why I still love you. I swear to God, if you were anybody else, I would have knocked you the hell out.
Betting on the wrong horse, man.
Dude,
but,
you were a wholehearted asshole at that point.
Oh yeah. So these people, I was one of those customers. I'm really lucky to have evolved out of that, and I'm still around to do all this cool stuff. Because oh my God, in the beginning it was real bad. Well, I mean, even in the beginning when I was getting burned, it was bad at times. But to make a long story short, there are people out there with, in hindsight, bad advice that come across very credible, and it's hard to figure out who has good advice and who doesn't, because sometimes they look the same. So I don't have any advice on how to filter that out.
Yeah, it's rough, and learning who to trust is, unfortunately, you're probably going to get burned. you can look around, you can talk to a lot of people, but you'd be surprised, especially on Facebook these days, there are people hyping the living crap out of people who really shouldn't be giving advice. You know, so it's hard to tell if you're new, who should you talk to? You know, you could have 1,000 people saying, you know, this is the guy. You know, I'm sure there are people out there who listen to me and they're like, that guy is a moron. Okay, I'm sure they exist. Yeah. And you know, it really sucks also when you start trying to take you know, a bit of column A and a bit of column B and try to combine them and think that works too, which a lot of times it doesn't. You know, you have one thought process and another thought process, and you kind of need to see it through.
Yeah, that's true. You would think you would be hedging your bets, and it's not. It's just a half measure twice, and it does not add up.
Yeah, truth is an illusion, says Mary. That is a beautiful quote. and
very much agree.
Alternative facts.
Yep. God, this was a great topic. Yeah. All right, what else we got?
All right, yeah, we got to move. Okay, so forbidden fruit. Sounds like,
yes. Okay.
Yeah, we got to talk about this. I guess let's first talk about what Canada is getting.
Sure. So Canada's Series Purple BRZ was announced recently, and it's a little bit different from the USDM model. It's actually based on the TS, so it comes with the Brembos, unlike the US model. It also comes with the Hitachi dampers. But making things even a little more strange, the Hitachi dampers are apparently only on the front, which I'm pretty sure the US model gets it on both the front and the rear. So that's a strange one. But yeah, there are a lot of models that don't come to America, and this is one of the unusual ones.
Well, I mean, one of the things we bitched about with the Series Purple was we're like, that's really cool, but it's like the same or more than a TS, and you don't get Brembos.
Right. You get just paint, and it was, oh man, it was like $4,000 or more just for this really nice purple.
And don't get me wrong, that purple's hot, but there's no way I could pay for that. But then Canada gets exactly what we kind of wanted.
Right. And I don't know my currency conversions that well, but it was not hilariously expensive. So it seemed like a better deal. Well, good for them.
Yep. So
a little bit salty, but you know, good for Canada. They need it right now after all the hell we've been putting them through.
Yeah. Yeah. So then announced right after that, Australia is I hate I hate the freaking letter salad they threw together with this. Australia is getting a new WRX.
It's getting a new WRX, so that's chassis code VB. That doesn't count as part of the name, but it is the Subaru WRX TS Spec B. So double limited edition, I guess.
This pisses me off to no end. First off, the Spec B is supposed to be a legacy. It just is. Like, that is a legacy. That is a legacy name, and it should not be screwed with. I'm sure Mary is out in the chat right now just pissed. Okay, Spec B was the highest end legacy, at least here in the States. And so when you thought of a Spec B, if you just say Spec B, what a Spec B here is in the States is I think the first year was 05 or 06. It was that generation, highest end. If you got the later ones, not the first year, you could get Alcantara interior. But the big thing is you also got a 6-speed. It was a proper STI-based 6-speed also, not a 5+1. It was a special car, and the Spec B badge meant something. So what they did with the Aussie WRX is basically take the TS and put nice interior in it, and then call it the WRX TS Spec B. Which I don't know, man.
It's more than that. So it's an $8,500 increase, and I'm pretty sure that's Australian kangaroo dollars, but still, that's a lot of money. It's about $2,500 for the performance muffler. It's got adaptive suspension, so call that $2,000. And it comes with the STI wing, which personally hurts me. So
yeah, they throw the STI wing on it. I'm getting
Right.
teased. I think I said Alcantara instead of Alcantara, which I don't know why that is just burned into my skull, but I have always said it that way, and I'm wrong.
Oh, you should keep it. Yeah.
I'm rolling with it now. I'm old. I can just do that.
That's right. Yeah. Recaro front seats, sunroof deleted. You pay for that, but honestly, it's worth it. Passenger seat is changed back to
think it's
manual adjustment,
bullshit.
so save a little
I'm
weight
gonna
there.
say that. I think it's bullshit that you pay extra to get rid of something. I'm okay with paying the same amount and you making the choice to not have it. It pisses me off you pay extra.
Okay, to be clear, I'm assuming here because they just say the
It's for the
package is
whole
$8,500 and
Yeah.
they don't give you the cost of the individual components.
But
I'm just
saying,
guessing
like,
here.
let's say you've like Porsche is really bad at that. Like really bad at that. Like if you get some fancy like GT3 and you want the rear seat delete, you know what I mean? You pay extra
Yeah.
for it. That's bullshit.
Totally agree. Now, was there ever a WRX that wasn't a Spec C? Because Spec C is the stripper model, and clearly this is not. This is more bells and whistles. What other specs were there in the history for the WRX?
Spec C was the only other one I knew of. Okay. And that was the Spec C. What that was essentially a as close to a body in white model you could get originally. Okay. Most some Spec Cs had roll up windows. A lot of them didn't have AC. Some of them came with a little more aggressive diffs. Like they didn't come with a lot of sound deadening specs, so they tended to be lighter. Spec Cs were like, this is your base for a motorsports build. It was kind of like the Evo RS. That's what a Spec C was.
I remember the Legacy Spec B being the best version of the Legacy. So that kind of tracks here. I don't know my history well, but
that's really what it was. Yeah. It was the highest end performance model, but what it came with was nicer interior and the 6-speed.
Didn't some Spec Bs also come with the 5+1 speed, or am I not remembering that right?
What's that?
Some Legacy Spec Bs, did they all come with the STI 6-speed, or did some of them not come with it?
All came with it. Now, the later model, like front turbo EJ Legacy GTs, those ones came with a 5+1, but they're really odd. They're super odd duck, but that's not a Spec B. That's just a really late model Legacy GT that came with the EJ. So that's actually got a really odd engine in it. It was kind of like the test dummy for the FA WRX, but they had an EJ in it. So it had that front mounted style turbo in it, but it was EJ based. So the block itself actually has a completely different oil pan configuration. Little do people know, we don't have it up on the site, but we actually make blocks for those. We have them here. We have a part number specifically for a 550. We have made some, by request, we'll build it closed deck for a 750. And I may or may not know of a particular Chicago shop that has stars in its name in a particular number order that has probably the rowdiest built one ever. And it's based on an 1150. And that customer should be up and running here real soon.
Nice. Yeah. Excellent.
So that is an odd duck though. So.
Okay, so it's a GT. So that's what I was misremembering. Well, man, what a weird car this is. We already talked about this with the STI being gone, but that is a lot of special going into a WRX that I don't think it rates it. Well, it's still a WRX at the end of the day.
Here's my question too is, do you want to buy it more? You know what I mean? I guess I'm not in Australia. I don't understand that market very well, and their market's different than ours. Okay. But do you think that's going to move more WRXs by making a different model? Me personally, I think Subaru would be better off making a really interesting parts catalog. Maybe even making it so you could take your WRX in and, maybe you could order it in a particular fashion, almost like a Porsche. where you
Yeah.
you go in and you're like the build list for a Porsche is ridiculous. You got like 3 different options of seats and all sorts of shit. So like I think maybe you could your WRX could get really expensive. But you could outfit it in all sorts of different ways. Do you want a sunroof? Do you not want a sunroof? Yada yada yada. Then you order it and 3 months later it shows up.
Yeah, I actually agree with that approach. Make it more like you're buying a tuned car where you're doing something special that it's not just, checking a box on which trim level do you want. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So man,
So
there's a lot of crazy shit going on out in the chat right now. But yes, 06 Spec B had the red interior. Mary knows because Mary owns a Spec B and she is a Spec B enthusiast. That had the red interior and the 5-speed, and then the 07 through 9 had the 6-speed without DCCD. So it had the viscous center and then open front and rears, but it was still. If you ever need to know about Spec Bs, hit up Mary. Mary knows what's up.
that's right. So man, what a weird car that is. WRX TS already,
So
and then Spec B on top of it. God.
It's like I've only seen 2 on the streets of Australia. I'm assuming he's talking about the VB. Like I gotta be real, I don't see many around here at all. It's a rarity.
I see a decent number of VBs, but
you're in an
I don't know,
area
man.
where I think you would see a fairly large number of VBs.
A lot of them show up to the Chi-Town Subarus meets, and half of them have the VA STI wing bolted on the back, and the trunk angle is slightly different from the VA
So it doesn't sit
WRX.
right.
So it doesn't look right, and the wing is almost angled up, which is upsetting. But people just want to be the guy or the girl. They just want to be cool. They want to drive a tuned car versus actually having a performing car. But
what Mary just said, she's like, VBs are all over Texas. Now, they're not all over Tennessee. When I do go up to Chicago, I see a decent amount of them. I think in certain areas of the country, they caught on really well. In others, it took a little while. But that was kind of the same thing with like Bug Eyes. And I got to be real, I almost feel like we're almost starting over again. Okay? Like the VB is almost like the O2 WRX. And I would,
tell me more about this bonus topic.
yeah. So I feel like the community is almost restarting. Like,
I could see that, and it's more about hard parking or
well, I wouldn't even
cosmetics.
say that. It's smaller modifications. Like when we first started with Bug Eyes, there wasn't all that much we could do. You know
Yeah,
what
but
I
the
mean?
reality is you can gain 50 horsepower on a tune now,
You
but it doesn't
absolutely
seem to
can,
have the
but
same hype factor like it used to.
Oh, you weren't around in 02. It was an insider thing. That's why we all waved at each other because we were all in on the joke.
Tell me more. So why is the community recircling around
Why?
the VBs? Why?
Hell, I don't know, but the VB is that community is almost its own strange thing. I just feel like the way the community is going, the way we're talking to each other these days, we're missing Nasiak, but the way people are acting is a lot more like it was in 02.
Okay. Well, I don't know to whether or not I believe it or not, but I think the kids will be all right.
I think the kids will be all right too. What could be nuts is we'll see what happens the next 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? I'm interested to see what happens with the BRZ. That's to be seen. Because do I see there being I mean, I guess we're in the Gen 2 BRZ area. We can call it that. The car's different enough to call it Gen 2. So are we going to see a Gen 3 BRZ? I got to be real. I don't think so. So what happens with that community? And again, like you look at the S chassis Nissans, dude, you can still get crazy parts for those things. And are the prices of those chassis going to go through the roof? Are they going to fall through the floor? Are they all going to go to the track? Are they going to get drifted into walls? What's going to happen with these things? Is the enthusiast still going to be there? Because honestly, nobody gave a shit about the S chassis until 10 years or more after the car was out of production.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I can see that. At one point, Supras, Mark IVs were cheap. Not anymore.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I what really blows my mind is 3rd gen RX-7s. I almost straight traded a guy in 2002.
Oh gosh.
My Del Sol that was worth about $3,000 plus $3,000 on top for a running FDRX7.
Wow.
I mean, right?
That hurts, but wow.
That car now would be like $50,000 is what that car would have been like, because it was mint. Okay. It had what would have seemed like a decent amount of mileage then. It's not a lot of mileage now. It's just crazy. It's wild.
Yeah. Bonus little thing in Forbidden Fruit in the US. I noticed that the GR86 is offering a racing tune in Japan. So I can't tell if this is for club racers or if it is meant to be street legal, like that BRZ tune we mentioned a couple episodes back. But another thing I wish we had in the US, and we don't.
I'm betting you they're doing throttle remapping for that again too. And it's probably just to make it feel a little sportier and whatever. It's probably just rebranded that same thing, but I'd be interested. Maybe it is a spicier tune. Very well could be.
Maybe. Yeah, I think it's probably just throttle math, but GR86 already is pretty spicy. So
Yeah, it is.
I don't know what they're chasing after, but something. All
Um,
right.
Number 3. This was something that like blew me away. We caught this in random internet news, a month and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah,
So
about a month ago.
was it Porsche or is it a Porsche shop? I don't exactly remember how this went down. But
It was a Porsche driver, factory driver, Lars Bergmeister.
so did they what I'm trying to figure out is, did Porsche back this or was it a shop? Or did he just own the car?
I can't tell from the AI overview from Google, but it's a Porsche factory driver, retired racer, former rally champion Lars Bergmeister.
I
beating-
feel like Porsche had something to do with this. So long story
click on it.
short, they put on some modern tires, okay, on a Carrera GT, and ran the Nürburgring again, like did a proper time of the Nürburgring again. Now understand, a Carrera GT, that was like 06 or something like that. Still had 3 pedals. All right. The car was a proper driver's car, constantly trying to kill you. Traction control really was not a thing. All they did was change the tires. Okay. This was still mid-engine rear-wheel drive. Changed the tires and went 20 seconds faster.
That's right. So I found the article from Road and Track. It was actually German magazine Sport Auto.
Okay.
Found the car with the new tires on it and then put Mr. Bergmeister behind the wheel.
And so that time is faster, from what I looked up, than the 918 Spider Porsche like back time. So the Carrera GT from 2006 with a naturally aspirated engine, rear-wheel drive, and none of the goodies, just threw on some modern tires and went and smacked the shit out of the pinnacle of automotive, technological performance. And that warms my heart.
Yeah, that's absurd.
The thing I really
almost 20
wanted to get
seconds.
on this is tire tech has come a long way in a very short period of time. If you're trying to compare even lap times and stuff from the 2000s, you can't. The tires are so much better. And this is one of the reasons that you'll have people be like, well, I used to track my car back and yada, yada, yada. A basic 200 treadwear tire these days is better than most race compound tires were then.
Yeah.
So the loads that are being put on these cars these days is nuts. Well outside of what people really realize. Like crazy outside of what people realize in what these cars were even designed for. Especially like GDs and GCs. Like that was not even thought about to be put under those kind of forces in stock form.
No, yeah. You and I kind of knew this from paying attention to Tsukuba lap times and how the big shops, the
saw it.
unlimited shops,
Dude,
how
you
fast
saw
they were
it in
going.
Time Attack. You saw it in Grid Life in just the time we were in there till like now. That's what a
Yeah.
decade, and
It kept going.
how much faster everything's went. Some of it's development, but a huge amount of it is tires. Even comparing the RE71 versus the RE71 RS is not even close.
Yeah. I would say a second came off. Does that sound about right?
Off
on
of
Gingerman?
just that tire change, yeah, second to a second and a half.
On a 1 minute 40-second lap time, call it.
Yeah, I honestly I think you'd see that same jump if you were to literally run an old RE71 on your bone stock BRZ TS. Okay. And
wow.
Yeah, I think you would see that time frame of a jump. That's how big of a jump it would be. It'd be probably a second to a second and a half.
That's incredible. That's a lot of extra oil slosh, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I would love to find a race tire that's not 200 tread wear, so I don't slosh the oil with high G forces. But apparently those things don't exist.
That doesn't even make sense. High G forces not slosh oil. The G forces are the oil or causing the oil problem.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, if I can go around a corner at half a G instead of 1.5 G, I'm not going to slosh the oil and I'll keep the engine alive.
Yeah,
so
just put some 300
Subaru of America
tires
told me
on.
this last year. They said, look, if you put 200 treadwear tires on the car, yeah, you're going to have oil problems. We don't design it for the track. So have the aftermarket fix the oil pan with it, a baffle or whatever. But in the meantime, don't use 200 treadwear tires.
I don't know. I don't agree with them, and the aftermarket is working on it. And the problem actually is not a sloshing problem; it's an oil drain back issue.
Yeah,
so that's the reason baffles and stuff really don't work very well. We'll see what happens. If it isn't us that fixes it, somebody else might fix it. Varus should be having their pans out here real soon to the general public, and yeah.
It's been 2 years, man, since the Gen 2 BRZ came out. Gosh, 2.5 years, I guess.
Hey, it takes a bit to develop products, and it's even harder these days. You heard the whole Cobb thing. It's hard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's hard
Shout
to
out
develop
Cobb.
products.
That was a great episode. Go listen to it.
It's hard to develop products these days. So it's you can't just throw shit out there. You don't know what's gonna come back. Yeah.
Speaking of don't listen to Subaru, let's get this one.
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay, next topic. Is this number 4?
This is number 4, and this one just kills me.
Okay, so the VBWRX allows 87 octane. It says in the user's manual, it is not detrimental to engine durability, and that's a direct quote.
In the 2024 user's manual, Subaru is saying that you can run this car in 87 octane. Now, here's what I am going to say. If you accidentally put 87 octane in your car, okay, because you're stupid, and or you are in the middle of nowhere, and for whatever reason, the only thing you can put in is 87 octane. If you were to drive around out of boost slowly to get to the next gas station, your engine's going to be fine. Okay, I'm not worried about that. But Subaru is so wrong on this. If you think you can just run around daily on 87 octane, just tossing it in, you're having fun on the highway and ripping around. If you think that engine's going to last any amount of time, we here at IAG would like to let you know that we have short blocks for sale. Okay, we're running a sale right now. Feel free to test that at your convenience. Don't do that. Just don't. Seriously. We already know that it's not great on 91 octane. Like the guys out there in 91 are already, they have a rough time when they're trying to really go hard with their cars. Now, direct injection does a lot. Okay. I think the FA24 with direct injection, a little larger bore and all that, probably could put up with it a little better than an EJ could. But it ain't enough. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. I don't care if it's
you're gonna lose horsepower Now it says not
That's fine.
detrimental to engine durability. Maybe I believe that, maybe I don't, but it doesn't mention horsepower, so you can assume that it's going to lose power.
Well, it's going to lose power for sure. What it's going to do is the ECU is going to see a few ugly knock events, and it's going to pull timing like crazy. Okay, that's how it's going to get away with it. It's the ECU is probably going to do everything it possibly can to compensate for it. But that ain't enough.
As a piece of technology, I think it's cool that they think that their ECU can handle that appropriately because Subaru cares about engine durability because they don't want to warranty engines. So there was a lot of analysis that went into putting this single sentence in the owner's manual. Does it make it a good idea? Absolutely not. But don't take my word for it. Dewey will sell you a short block all day, twice on Sunday.
I will sell you a short block. You just give me a call. We got to. I think I got FA24s on the shelf right now. You just give me a call. Have that real quick for you.
Yep. It's last thing I'll say about that is there are people out there that buy the WRX and then post on Facebook every single day. Can I put 87 octane in it? Because they want to save money. I don't understand this. I don't understand why you buy a fun car and then try to shoot yourself in the foot to save a couple dollars.
Go buy a Crosstrek. It'll do everything you obviously want it to do better. Go do that. I don't get that.
Yeah, it's even worse than the bad ideas where dudes want to tune their car on MS 109 because they live in a cold climate and E85 isn't going to start up at 32 degrees below zero. Like, get out of here, my guy. That was from Reddit. Go look that one up. That was awful.
Yeah, I'll pass. Let's not say we didn't. All right. 01
Number
versus
5.
Project Midnight. Okay.
Yes. All right. GM has a ZR1 that they are campaigning around the country, trying to break records, time attack fashion. I don't remember if it's like tuned up or anything. Maybe it's got some
it looks
fancy
stock.
Tires on it.
It looks stock.
Oh, stock.
Yeah, it looks very stock. And I think they did what they call the track alignment, but past that, I don't think they did anything.
I think that's right. Track alignment, track pads, of course,
I think
and
they
then
threw
maybe some brake fluid.
And that was it. And now they're in their new, C801. That thing's 1,000 horsepower. The thing I love about this more than anything is not only did they go out there and beat the shit out of these production records all over the country, they didn't do it with pro drivers. And this is no bash on these guys who are driving these cars. Okay. Realistically, they're better than your average driver, but they are far from pro drivers. So what you are seeing as far as times are probably a lot more realistic to what a normal person could get. Okay. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I do believe I could pilot these vehicles quicker, but I am not most people. Okay. Your average New Balance, jorts guy could probably hop into a car and turn not too far off of these lap times. Okay. It was incredible how fast this car was. And they went to like Road Atlanta. These are not like some weird track in the middle of nowhere. They destroyed the production car record at Road Atlanta and like destroyed it.
Nice.
They went faster than Jackie did.
Oh my God. Well, okay. 1,000 horsepower will do that.
Yeah, but that's not a developed, Jackie's car's got very developed aero. The suspension is set up specifically for time attack. They got weight out of the car in every possible way they can that they can legally do it and still call it a street mod car.
Right. No, he's done God's work with the new Supra.
Jackie drove that thing at pro level. Okay, the lap you'd have a hard time finding anybody else in this damn country to get in that car and find any more time.
I get it, but I can hear Jackie saying this in my head. I am not General Motors. I don't have General Motors money.
No, and he doesn't. In that car, the ZR1 was developed from the ground up to do this. It's super cool that they did this. But the question started coming up because they did it time attack style.
Yeah.
Would it beat Project Midnight? And I just so I can chime in and we keep this fairly quick, I think it's going to depend on the track. Do I think Project Midnight can beat the ZR1 at Road Atlanta? No.
No.
Mm-mm. Or
Arrow.
Road America, or something that's got a lot of high speed, big straightaways. Do I think Project Midnight could win at Gingerman? Absolutely.
That would be hot. I'd love to see that throwdown.
That would be rowdy. Do I think they could Project Midnight could win at Mid Ohio? I think it'd be close. I think it'd be a toss up because that thing is going to leave corners crazy. Both of those cars will. And I think it would be just batshit.
We saw this a little bit at VIR with Project Midnight versus the Garage 56 NASCAR that raced in Le Mans, and Subaru turned the truck around and threw down one more lap
so
they could win at the last second.
And I appreciate that effort. What I don't appreciate is the fact that they're packing up and leaving early. That's horseshit.
Well,
I'm sorry. Hey man, if you're here to win, you stay to the end. You go to the event, you stay to the end. This is a random rant, but if you're competing there, win or lose, you should go to the podium ceremony for whoever did win. Okay, if it's a part of it, win or lose, you should be there.
I agree with that, but I'm not going to fault them for leaving early. They probably have a very good reason, which is they're tired and overworked, and they've got a million commitments.
Schedule around it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm sorry. Schedule. It's a part of it.
I agree.
If your mom died, I get it. Okay, past that, I don't want to hear it. You need to be there.
We don't know, man. VSC is a small company.
They turned the car around, did they not?
What?
Did they not turn the truck around and go back and run the lap? Okay.
They turned the truck around.
Okay, so I don't think it was that important then.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to fight you on this.
Don't.
But I would love to see it. I hope Project Midnight shows up. I hope we could just send a thought into the atmosphere. Dear Scott Speed, bring Project Midnight to Grid Life.
It ain't Scott Speed who's going to make that choice because Subaru kind of owns that car. But I would love Vermont Sports Car, come to Grid Life. I want my signed dollar. Let's have a good time.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Okay.
All right. We need to do a boogie update, and it looks like I just got kicked off the hook for the thing I needed to do, so we're good to go.
All right.
So my time frame just opened up. So boogie update. Let's have a conversation where we're at in the world. I wish Dylan was in here, but we'll get there. All right. I keep getting asked what's going on with boogie, so let's have a talk. Garrett sent us one of their new G35 1050 Gen 2 turbos to test. Okay, we actually got this way earlier than everybody else. But Boogie was being a little bitch and did not want to run on the dyno. It was stupid stuff with some electrical crap that we had to work through. The second we got it fixed and everything seemed like it was going to work, then we got thunderstorms that rolled through. And it blew out the controller for the fan on the dyno. And we had to wait like another 2 weeks for that.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, it was just nonstop. We could not get this thing on the dyno. We finally got it on and did the testing. So we did runs back to back. We did 3 runs and then let the car cool down. Dylan swapped the turbo and then the next morning put it back on. So the temperatures were really similar. Same dyno, yada, yada. The Gen 2 was interesting. It made a little bit more power at the same boost level, but that doesn't tell the whole story because it did spool a hair later too. Just a little, but it did it at a significantly lower turbo speed. The actual shaft speed of the turbo was much lower. It kicked off like 20,000 RPM. So it gave us a huge amount more headroom because on kill before we were kind of limited by turbo speed, not the engine. And the last thing we want to do is, toss the turbo mid lap or something. So that was our big limiting factor. Now it's not the turbo at all. So we got to play around with it. What we did was run it again at the same turbo speed that we were running. Not on kill, but like one of our more aggressive maps. And we picked up a lot of jam. It was almost 40 horsepower. I want to say almost everywhere. It
Nice.
carried much better.
Efficiency.
So it acted like a larger turbo. But the nice thing about it is you can swap it out without having to change any of the housings. The hot side and our compressor side, we didn't have to change out either of them. It just popped right in. So, yeah,
I like the sound of that. Easy.
Yep, super easy. Really stoked about that. They, they wanted some proper testing, and we have, because we have the Mtron and all the goodies in there, we can give them proper data. So, we got them logs and everything else. So they were able to go over that. They're doing a bunch of testing on a bunch of other cars. Almost all of these Gen 2s are showing good gains. Some of them are acting like slightly larger turbos like ours, and some of them are just like, it's just more everywhere. So it's a little aero change, but if you need it a little more and you got a Garrett, you might want to look into that. So we're going to have a little more without having to try harder, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of power gains or efficiency gains. So take that.
Big fan. So we didn't want to start taking Boogie apart until we had that sorted. Okay, so we finally got that sorted. Now we can start kind of ripping into what we're trying to do with Boogie. I know you heard last year I was talking to you about we lost power steering at pit race, like totally. Actually, we were losing power steering at Road America, but it was gone at pit race. So we decided this is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I kind of put my foot down when we threw a power steering belt at Mid-Ohio this year when I was on a burner lap, and it was at the worst possible time. Mid-Ohio going into what they call China Beach, so at the end of the straight, a whole lot of load on the car. That's when it decides it's going to throw the belt, and it damn near threw me into a wall. Yeah, I was like, we're running this thing at an RPM that it's really not used to seeing all the time. And if we can get rid of it, let's, it's less load. So we're getting rid of the hydraulic power steering pump. We're going to a Volvo electric pump. We're putting it in the rear. We've already got the pump. Fred here at IAG made an awesome looking bracket. It's got a little boogie in it and everything. It's sick, dude. I can't wait to show some pictures of it, but it's really sick. We're going to put that in the rear. I don't know if some people saw the other night, I put a post up on my Facebook looking for a tubular subframe. Amazingly enough, we actually had one at the shop. It was, something JJ had floating around, and he's like, hey, just go use this one. And so we got the tubular subframe. And the reason we wanted to do that is it just makes running the lines a lot easier. And you've been under the car, so you see how
Yes.
You see how all the crazy dry sump lines and shit run. Now that we're going to a tubular subframe, we're going to be able to like run it through that, and it's going to make it so much nicer under there. And we're not doing it for weight. I think we're going to save like a couple of pounds. You know what I mean? There's no geometry changes because we're not allowed to for class. It's literally all it's for is just ease of install on things. But we're running some fancy lines. We're going to run partial hard lines, and then they're going to turn into some sort of flexible line. But that's Fragola, who has been really awesome with us. Fragola coughed up all sorts of different fittings and lines and shit for us to redo all of that. Fragola has been super cool. That company is great to work with. So
nice.
they're hooking us up. Yeah, oh yeah, they're totally down to party. So they're hooking us up with all sorts of different fittings and things, and we had this whole crazy list of shit, and I that if there's one thing that will eat you alive, you don't even realize it when you're building a race car, is crazy fittings, AN fittings, weird bulkhead fittings, you know, crazy line that, you know, is for like dry sumps or whatever that can't collapse. That shit adds up so fast. So either way, we've got that going in, which is going to change that situation. The other thing is Dylan did God's work. I have no idea how he managed to make this work yet. I've seen pictures of it, and I still don't understand how he pulled it off. That he managed to fit the electronic wastegate.
Oh yeah.
There's
In
just
the
no room
same
in a
location.
GC. Yeah, basically the same. We're setting it up so if we have an issue with the gate, which we don't think we're going to, but we need a backup plan. Okay. If we have issues with the gate, we can switch to a normal pneumatic style gate. No problem. Okay. It's something we could pop on and have on the car like half an hour. You know what I mean? So we're running that. We're going to be going to the electronic. We're going to go with our electronic blow off valve to start, and then we're going to start looking into where to mount the boost gate. But the electronic blow off valve is what we're going to start with. So we're going to be able to start doing the crazy turbodynamic stuff we were talking about last year.
Very nice. Like that.
We should be able to start messing with that here real soon. Graham is about to have his car together with all this stuff too, so he's going to start messing around tuning so he just kind of understands the logic better, and we're probably going to go hard into like making power and really make it work on our car as fast as we can. So very excited about that. Other things that are coming down the line, we have scanned the car, or we're very close to having it completely scanned. So we're starting to come up with ideas on how we're going to do some basic aero stuff to start. The big thing we want to do is skirts and maybe a basic diffuser, though we might build it, or I already have this fiberglass one we might use. I don't know. We're a little up in the air on that one. But skirts are going to be a really big thing for a couple of reasons. One, I really want to clean our livery up. I kind of want to redo the livery completely. But skirts would give us a lot of real estate to put some of the sponsors there that I think are getting, they just don't have good spots. You know what I mean? I want to make sure they got decent real estate. So we're going to have some nice skirts. But the big thing I like about skirts is we're going to keep, it's going to help the wash coming in from the sides going under the car and creating lift. We should see overall pretty serious downforce gains from the skirts. So
nice.
Serapin Wolf is like, so like S13, 14 aftermarket skirts or something specific. We're going to build something specific for the car. We're going to try to incorporate, we're up in the air exactly how we want to set up we use rally style pin stands. We're trying to figure out how we want to do the pin stands and keep the skirts on that, or we're going to make the skirts really, really easily removable. So there's a lot going on with that. We got all the stuff from Momo finally. So the seats will be Momo. The wheel was already Momo. Momo's on board for kind of our safety stuff. We got new harnesses. We're making, from the sounds of it, we're making our own bottom mount and bracket. So like seat mount and bracket, because the ones I'm using right now, I got to be real, are kind of sketchy. They're the Buddy Club like super low things, and they really don't fit me exactly great in the way I want to sit the seat in there. So we're just gonna go scorched earth and basically mount the seat to the floor. We're gonna do some modification. So
science never stops.
That's exciting stuff. Thankfully, if you notice, I haven't said anything about the engine. Engine is running great, thankfully. So we don't have to mess with anything on that. The old D-stroker's doing fine. I hope we can get to some wing uprights. I don't know if it's going to happen in time. That's kind of low priority right now. trying to think of what else I want to chat about. Oh, you know how ugly the trunk has been?
Yeah.
Dylan is going to go through and redo the trunk plate and all that's all going to get changed out. You're going to like this. We have some linear potentiometers finally, and we're going to try to wire those. Yes. Like proper suspension data. We're excited about that. The person who kind of pushed us over the edge on that was some conversations with Mike Kojima. He has expressed a little bit of interest in trying to help us out with this, and I would love to work with Mike because he's kind of like this like straight up hero of mine. Oh, dude, we need to have Mike Kojima on the show.
That's a great idea.
I don't know if I'd even be able to talk to Mike Kojima.
No, you'd probably just start babbling like blah, 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 blah. Meet your heroes.
I think I could make that happen. We should look into that. We like stick a pin in that one.
Okay. Put it on the list.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we got going? Oh, I am currently, if anybody's listening to this, I am looking for rain guards, preferably like the old school AVS kind of cheapy rain guards that people used to put on every car on the planet in the early 2000s. For a Impreza, for Boogie specifically. There's some interesting studies out there of CFD being done on cars and how much they can help when you have to run with the windows open. And with Road Atlanta now coming to the calendar and Road America being on the calendar, those are two extraordinarily high-speed tracks. And there is gains to be had there. So we're looking for that. That would be it. So if you guys are out and about and seeing those, let me know. I can't find a company in Australia that is willing to ship them to me, but maybe one of our Australian homies here who listens to this, maybe I can PayPal you some money. You can go buy it, and we'll get you some shipping, and you can send it over to me. I understand they're odd shaped and fairly large, and it's probably going to cost me a decent amount of money to get here. I get it. So let me know. But they're all over in Australia. You can get them in Australia, no problem. Damn Aussies.
Getting all the cool stuff.
All the cool stuff. What else do we got going on in the world of... Man, I wish I could talk about some of it. We got some really cool stuff with some really cool companies that I can't talk about yet, but I'm very excited to talk about.
For now, yeah.
For now, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's sticking out in my brain that we need to talk about. You got any questions?
I got nothing, man. We went through the whole list. We're caught up.
Yeah, I think we did the whole list. I had a really good question from somebody earlier, and it was way earlier. But long story short, it was somebody asking about strut tower bars.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about strut tower bars real quick. A strut tower bar on anything newer than 08 for an Impreza based chassis, okay? Newer than 08, in my opinion, is the most pointless modification you can do to the car unless you're using it for some form of mounting or something, okay? It isn't going to do anything for you because your strut towers are basically tied into your firewall. So you're not going to brace it any more than your firewall already is. It's not a point of flex. Now, front strut tower bars, if you have a wagon, so if you have like a STI hatch, there's an argument to be made, okay, that a rear triangulated strut tower bar, these bars don't do anything unless they're triangulated, okay? It's got to be a triangle. Especially the ones that have swivels on each end. What are you even doing? But if the rear strut tower bar, if it is triangulated, there are gains to be had there in a hatchback or wagon situation. Okay. And even to a certain degree in some sedans, there's like the old X-Brace was an awesome unit that nobody makes anymore. maybe that Russian company Keen is still making it, but I don't think you can get Russian stuff here. So
Unfortunately.
who knows? I don't know. They're out there. You might be able to find one used. I have an X-Brace here, by the way, at my house.
Of course you do.
It's gonna go in my 05. Front strut tower bars though, 08 newer makes no sense. Now, if we're talking GD or GC, GD it doesn't make a lot of sense. There are other places that your money could be better spent. Okay. But a good strut tower bar on a GD may have some rigidity help to it because the strut tower itself is not connected to the firewall. Okay. Notice I'm talking about Imprezas and I am not talking about BRZs yet. Okay.
Okay.
So either way, the front strut tower bars for that it's not going to do much. You'd be better off doing sway bars, a bunch of other things. Even the lower bars are going to do more for you for chassis rigidity, like the lower H braces or whatever. Beat Rush made a cool brace down there, and like there's other things that you could do that would help stiffen the chassis than that. And honestly, most people think stiffening the chassis is going to like help with body roll or whatever. It absolutely will not. What stiffening a chassis will do is help your suspension control the motion better, because the suspension, all of it goes into the suspension. Any sort of motion is then controlled by the suspension, not some sort of weird movement within the chassis itself. So then the suspension through the shock and the spring can control that motion. So if let's say you had a really floppy chassis and you managed to stiffen it, you probably would need to upgrade your shocks then, if that makes sense. So now we go back to a GC. On a GC, we're talking 90s shitbox, okay? There is an argument for a strut tower bar on those making a difference. It's why strut tower bars work on old Hondas and things of that nature. There is a fairly large gap between not only the strut tower and your firewall, but they're also just not very overly rigid chassis. 90s cars are where all these strut braces really came from, and they did help, okay? Now, a cage does more. A strut tower bar, though, the biggest reason most people bought them was cosmetic, because they look cool. There are other bars that do more. And the one that everybody should look into, especially GD and GC, isn't a strut tower bar. It's fender braces. But you don't see them. They're under your fenders. Those will make a big difference. The flex that you are trying to control, the strut tower bar probably isn't going to do it, but the fender braces do quite a bit for it. That area from basically your A-pillar area and then over and past your strut tower, that's where all that force is. And if there's going to be flex, that's the spot it'll happen at. And fender braces actually work really well on older cars. Highly recommend those kick ass. Even the cheapy ones that are single piece really work, but the triangulated ones, the best ones are those old GT spec ones. Good luck ever finding those again. But even the Keen or Kine or whatever, those crazy Russian ones, they're a little heavy, but they really, really work. It's just, again, good luck finding them. There's a lot of companies that don't make some of the stuff that I think there's an opening for a lot of these products that companies aren't making anymore that should be made for the guys who are doing resto mod stuff or updating their cars from older situations or things of that nature. The strut tower or the fender brace, awesome brace. Strut tower braces for the most part are cosmetic though. They absolutely are. Now, if you just want to throw some cool carboning strut tower brace thing up there, by all means, dude. Hey, that's cool. That's you. It isn't like they weigh so much it's really going to change anything. But don't expect handling changes from it. It ain't going to happen. And the newer the car gets, the less it matters. It means absolutely fuck nothing zero in a VA or newer. So.
Yep, believe that.
Yep, that's strut tower braces. That's if you wanted the education on that. Now again, if you want one, hey, that's cool. That's all you. If have a good time trying to get it around your top mount intercooler if you still have one, or your intercooler piping. Half the time people have it on there for 3-4 months, and the first time they got to work on something, it's the last time it ever goes on. And it sits in the corner, and then they ends up on Facebook Marketplace. So there's plenty of them out there. Go digging. Yeah, that's about it. Anything else? I think we're pretty much it. What I want to throw this out into the community. I'm if you guys have topics that want to get talked about, I mean that was a good one. Even if it's small stuff like that, throw it in the comments. Okay. Not so much in the Discord chat comments, but like the Spotify comments, the YouTube comments, the Apple podcast comments. Put it in the comments. I see all of those. I read every single one of them. Put stuff like that in the comments, because not only does it help interaction, because honestly, the way the algorithm works, it doesn't care what's in the comment, just that there's a comment. So anybody who's thinking about some random topic, even if it dawns on you at 2 a.m, throw it in any one of the podcasts. You know, hey, I'd like to see something on this. I will see that, and we'll add it to the list, and maybe we'll do another topic salad, and we can cover, something along those lines. And I love topic salad. I think this is great. I think we talked about all sorts of fun stuff. Serapin Wolf has got one. We need an episode about suspension geometry, especially for all the coilover people. Fix your geometry. Don't dump and run it. Yes, I agree. Suspension geometry would be a good one. I feel like we kind of had one, but maybe another conversation about suspension wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe like what these parts are trying to do. Who would be fun? I wonder if I can get somebody from Whiteline.
That's a great idea.
That would be good. Okay. Stick a pin in that. Other than that, I think that's about it, man. I feel like I had one more thing I wanted to say. I don't remember. Oh, we're trying to put together a podcast about swapping GC8s or swapping older Imprezas and just basically swaps in general. But I get a lot of questions about swapping, 90s Subarus. And there's not a lot of great resources out there for it anymore. So I think conversations need to be had. I think we're gonna do a good 1.5, 2 hour rant on that. And we're trying to get some people who've like been around on that to have that conversation, So we're talking to some people. Crash is saying Sammy and Jeff would be good people to have on there, and that's totally true. Serapin Wolf's another one that we may have on there. We got some other guys that we're talking to. We're coming up with ideas. But if you guys like the concept of that, also put that in the comments. I want to hear it. But get a lot of questions about that, and I think it'd be a good resource. So yeah, I know you gave a short list, and I appreciate it. So yeah, I think that's about it. You got any big plans for this weekend, Warranty?
I am going to the URW open house, or Cars and Coffee, their first ever Cars and Coffee. And I have a feeling it's going to be very large.
I think that's going to be a neat event. And also, I think that area's looking for an excuse to kind of have a little car party. I bet you it's going to go real well. It's early in the season. Is the weather supposed to be good?
I haven't checked. It's been nice, and then it's been awful, and then it's been nice. Let's check.
Yeah, check.
Algonquin, Illinois. Oh, no, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be a high of 42.
Oh, is it going to rain?
No rain.
Oh, okay. You'll probably still get cars out. It's just most people are going to be standing inside. As long as they have like their dyno cell open or whatever so people can stand inside, I think you're going to have a pretty good turnout.
I hope they do. Yeah, don't see why not.
I heard Savage Geese is going to be there.
Yes, they are part of that. They're in the shop.
Okay.
Like they They're affiliated with URW.
Interesting. I need to drop by URW and give those guys a rash.
Sure.
So that'd be a good time. They're good dudes. I question some of their they've got some hot takes that I don't agree with.
Okay. Get them on the podcast.
No. That can't be this podcast. That would have to be Heat Exchanger.
Yeah, it would be another one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be the other one. I'd have to beep way too much in this one. So, yeah. I think that's about it. And hopefully Jordan's done with his hangover. And yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I guess I'll see you next week. And I think that's about it. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. We'll see you guys next week.